The little boy wasn't asking for money. He wasn't asking for toys. Standing in the middle of a crowded city plaza under the warm glow of a bright spring morning, with hundreds of strangers watching in stunned silence, he looked up at one of the richest women in the country and held out a handmade paper flower with trembling hands. Tears filled his innocent eyes as he whispered the one wish his father had spent years trying to protect him from. He didn't ask her to adopt him. He didn't ask her to buy him anything. He simply begged her to be his mommy, just for one single day. Before anyone could react, his exhausted father rushed through the crowd, desperately trying to pull his son away, completely unaware that this heartbreaking moment would unlock a secret that would forever change all of their lives. Before we continue this unforgettable story, if you believe kindness can heal even the deepest wounds and that every child deserves love, please take a second to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Story Echoes so you never miss another emotional journey that reminds us how powerful compassion can be. The city of Ashton Heights was alive with sunlight. Office towers reflected the clear blue sky while busy sidewalks filled with professionals rushing toward another ordinary workday. Luxury cars lined the streets near the towering headquarters of Hartwell Global Enterprises, a company known around the world for innovation, charity, and extraordinary success. At the very top of that empire stood Celeste Hartwell, a woman whose face appeared on magazine covers almost every month. Investors admired her intelligence, employees respected her fairness, and journalists often described her as one of the most influential business leaders of her generation. Yet behind every headline, every award, and every successful decision lived a loneliness no amount of wealth had ever managed to erase. Only a few blocks away, another life unfolded far from the spotlight. Nolan Pierce balanced two paper coffee cups in one hand while carrying his sleeping 6-year-old son, Theo, in the other. Every morning followed nearly the same exhausting rhythm. Wake before sunrise. Prepare breakfast. Pack school supplies. Drop Theo at school. Work 2 jobs. Return home just in time to cook dinner before helping with homework and bedtime stories. Since losing his wife, Marin, to a sudden illness 4 years earlier, Nolan had become both father and mother without ever truly learning how to be either. Some days he believed he was doing enough. Other days guilt followed him like a shadow, whispering that no matter how hard he tried, he could never replace the love Theo had lost. Theo rarely complained. He smiled easily. He laughed loudly. He hugged his father every night before bed. But there was one question that always returned. Every Mother's Day. Every school family event. Every birthday. Every time another child ran into their mother's arms. The little boy quietly wondered what it felt like to have someone call him sweetheart with a mother's voice again. Nolan answered as gently as he could, always reminding Theo that his mother loved him more than anything and that love never disappeared. Yet every answer left another tiny crack inside his own heart because he knew words could never fully replace what his son had lost. One afternoon Theo returned home carrying a colorful flyer from school. The annual Family Appreciation Celebration would take place in the city plaza. Children were invited to spend the day participating in games, crafts, and activities with their families. One section especially caught Theo's attention. Children would create handmade flowers for the most important woman in their lives. Theo quietly folded the flyer. He smiled. But Nolan noticed something different. That night, long after Theo had fallen asleep, Nolan discovered dozens of crumpled paper flowers scattered across the living room floor. Each one had been carefully folded by tiny hands before being thrown away. His son wasn't practicing crafts. He was searching for someone to give them to. The celebration arrived beneath clear daylight and gentle spring air. Families filled the enormous plaza with music, balloons, laughter, and children's excited voices. Food trucks lined the sidewalks while volunteers organized games beneath colorful tents. Nolan forced himself to smile, hoping Theo would enjoy the day despite knowing how difficult these events often became. Unknown to them, Hartwell Global had sponsored the celebration. As part of the charity event, Celeste Hartwell planned to spend the afternoon visiting children's booths before announcing a scholarship program. Security surrounded her. Reporters followed every step. Parents lifted phones to capture photos. Theo watched quietly from across the plaza. He held one carefully folded white paper flower inside both hands. Then he suddenly slipped away. Nolan looked around in panic. Within seconds he spotted his son weaving through the crowd toward the group surrounding Celeste. His heart nearly stopped. He rushed after him. Before anyone could stop the little boy, Theo reached the front of the gathering. Security instinctively moved forward. But Celeste gently signaled them to wait. The little boy stretched upward with the paper flower. His voice trembled so softly that nearby conversations immediately faded into silence. He explained that everyone else had someone special to give their flowers to. He didn't. He knew she helped thousands of children. He had seen her smiling in newspapers. He didn't want gifts. He didn't want money. He only wished someone could pretend to be his mommy for one day so he could know what it felt like to hand a flower to someone on Family Day. The entire plaza froze. Even the photographers slowly lowered their cameras. Nolan finally reached his son, kneeling beside him with tears already filling his own eyes. He apologized repeatedly, explaining that Theo had never done anything like this before and that grief sometimes appeared in unexpected ways. He gently reached for the paper flower, hoping to end the painful moment before embarrassment overwhelmed them both. Instead, Celeste accepted the flower with both hands. She didn't smile for cameras. She didn't deliver a speech. She simply looked at the carefully folded paper blossom as though it were the most valuable gift she had ever received. For years the world believed Celeste Hartwell had sacrificed family in pursuit of business success. The truth remained hidden. At 28 she had been engaged to marry the love of her life. Weeks before their wedding, a devastating accident claimed both her fiancé and the child she had been carrying. Overnight every dream of motherhood vanished. Rather than allowing grief to destroy her completely, she buried herself inside work until success became easier to understand than heartbreak. No interview ever mentioned that story. No magazine ever printed those memories. She carried them alone. Until now. Looking into Theo's hopeful eyes, she saw not pity but possibility. She gently asked Nolan if they could spend the afternoon together as planned for the celebration. Only if he felt comfortable. Nolan hesitated. Every protective instinct inside him wanted to shield his son from disappointment. But he also recognized something sincere in Celeste's expression. Something that couldn't be manufactured. They spent the next several hours walking through every activity together beneath bright afternoon sunshine. Theo painted pictures while Celeste laughed beside him. They planted flowers in the community garden. They built toy airplanes from recycled wood. They shared sandwiches on a picnic blanket while Nolan watched quietly from nearby, uncertain whether his heart was healing or breaking. For the first time in years, Theo experienced ordinary moments most children never realized were extraordinary. Someone proudly displayed his artwork. Someone brushed crumbs from his shirt. Someone celebrated every tiny accomplishment as though it mattered more than the business deals waiting across town. Nolan noticed something remarkable. Celeste wasn't pretending. She wasn't performing kindness. She seemed grateful for every second. As evening approached, Theo wrapped both arms around Nolan before thanking him for bringing him to Family Day. Then he hugged Celeste with the innocent trust only children possess. He whispered that even one day was enough. Now he finally understood what his mother must have felt like. No adult nearby managed to hold back tears. The story spread across social media within hours. Millions watched the brief video of a little boy offering a paper flower to a CEO. Most expected another publicity campaign. Instead, they discovered something genuine. Reporters requested interviews. Celeste declined nearly all of them. She wanted the story to belong to Theo rather than herself. The following week, an unexpected package arrived outside Nolan's apartment. Inside rested dozens of children's books, art supplies, gardening tools, and a handwritten note inviting Theo to visit Hartwell Global's Community Learning Center whenever he wished. No cameras. No reporters. No announcements. Only kindness. Months slowly passed. Celeste became a quiet presence in their lives, never attempting to replace anyone, never crossing boundaries Nolan wasn't comfortable with. She attended Theo's school art exhibition. She helped organize charity reading programs. She encouraged Nolan to apply for a management position at the construction company where he worked after discovering he had repeatedly turned down promotions because he feared spending less time with his son. With gentle encouragement, Nolan accepted the opportunity. His income improved. His confidence slowly returned. Most importantly, he began believing that asking others for support did not mean failing as a father. Theo flourished. His teachers noticed he smiled more often. His grades improved. He stopped hiding during Mother's Day activities because he finally understood something beautiful. Love could arrive in unexpected forms. Nobody would ever replace Marin. Nobody should. But hearts were capable of growing without forgetting those they had lost. One sunny Saturday nearly 2 years later, the community gathered again inside the same plaza where everything had begun. This time thousands attended the opening of the Hartwell Family Hope Center, created to support widowed parents, grieving children, and struggling single families. At the entrance stood a glass display case. Inside rested one small white paper flower. Visitors often assumed it had been created by a famous artist. It hadn't. It had been folded by tiny hands searching for love. Beneath it a simple plaque read, "One child's courage reminded us that kindness becomes family when someone chooses to care." Theo stood holding Nolan's hand. Beside them stood Celeste. Not replacing anyone. Not rewriting history. Simply adding another chapter to a family that had once believed happiness had ended forever. Nolan looked toward the bright afternoon sky, silently thanking Marin for the love she had left behind inside their son. He realized that protecting Theo had never meant shielding him from pain forever. Sometimes real protection meant allowing hope to find its way into broken places. Before we reach the final moments of this story, if your heart has been touched by Theo's courage and Nolan's journey, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and leave a comment letting us know how this story made you feel. Your support helps these stories of hope reach people who may need them most. Special request, please comment, "Love makes a family," if you believe that compassion can change someone's life forever. Years later, Theo would remember many things about that unforgettable spring afternoon. He would remember the sunshine warming the city streets. He would remember his father's frightened footsteps rushing through the crowd. He would remember a woman who accepted a simple paper flower as though it were priceless. But more than anything, he would remember discovering that families are not always defined by blood or by perfect circumstances. Sometimes they are built by ordinary people choosing extraordinary kindness when someone needs it most. And as the golden daylight slowly faded beyond the city skyline, 3 once broken hearts walked home together, not because life had erased their pain, but because love had gently taught them that even after tremendous loss, hope always leaves room for one more beautiful beginning. Thank you for watching. If this emotional story stayed with you until the very end, please don't forget to like, comment, share this video with your loved ones, and subscribe to Story Echo for more heart-touching stories about family, hope, forgiveness, and the incredible power of kindness. Sometimes the smallest act of love becomes the greatest miracle in someone else's life.